Good morning, everyone. So, for today's lecture, we are going to start with Unit 5, and the chapter is Ethics. So, the topics which we are going to look into here is characterizing IoT, privacy control, disrupting control, crowdsourcing, environment, physical thing, electronics, internet service, solutions, internet of things as a part of the solution, cautious optimism, and open internet of things definition. So we'll start. So before we start with the first topic, first we should know that what do you mean by ethics? So whenever we talk about word ethics, it simply means that something that is going to deal with moral principles, and you have to be morally upright. So something if you are doing legally, you are following some norms and which is always correct, which has some you can say standardized acceptance. So that is called as ethics. So it is basically you can say a branch of knowledge that will deal with the moral principles. You have to be morally upright, you have to be morally correct. Whatever you do has to be something which is acceptable by everyone, and it has to be morally correct in all the aspects. So the first topic which we are going to look into here is characterizing IoT. So characterizing IoT here refers to basically that what do you mean by IoT? Like we already know IoT stands for Internet of Things. And when we talk about Internet of Things, that is something which is going to deal with the IoT aspects where all your devices have your sensors and actuators, and these sensors and actuators are something which are going to sense the information from the environment. So with this, you're going to categorize IoT. So when we talk about categorizing IoT, here refers to that how these devices are giving you the information, how the information is being collected. And when we talk about a moral principle or ethics in IoT, that is something which really needs to be categorized because that is still under research. Because if I talk about your IoT devices, they are powerful devices. They will minimize your task. They will help you to do the things in easier way, but they don't have ethical issues resolved yet. Like security and privacy is still under the research. All the information which is sent from your IT devices, how it is being shared across your third party apps, how it is being taking place, this everything is very much uncertain. So we really don't know. And as we talk about technology, it is making the life easier and it is actually adding more problems to us with respect to security and privacy if your devices themselves are not having those functionalities. So this is something which really needs to be taken care of. And if you talk about IoT, we have seen the n number of applications of IoT, your wearables, your healthcare industry, your transport. In every field, if you see, IoT is booming. And it is simply just working with the help of the sensors and the electronic components which are there and which is making the things easier for you. So with this, the concern of IoT increases more because you have to categorize those functionalities with the ethical issues, you can say, or some legal issues that needs to be resolved, that is with respect to privacy and security. So when we talk about IoT, it works with your simple physical connections which you can made over your breadboards. And most of the important aspect of IoT is affordances, which we have already seen before. Like just by seeing the object, you understand that what it's working. So IoT is so powerful that they actually make things easier for you and they let you understand that how the things are going to work. So basically, when we talk about IoT, you really need a real world environment. You need to have your physical actions, and this physical actions needs to be made public because at the end, the people are going to use it, and then they are going to give the feedback. So with the sensors and actuators, and with the help of the internet, you can create events. You can sense the information from the environment, give the information back to the environment. So basically, we can tell in other words that IoT is a bi-directional communication to the things that can interact, and with that there has to be some privacy concern which really needs to be taken care of. Like we have seen example of good night lamp, we have seen example of bed dial. So these are some top, you can say, applications of IoT which has really made things easier for every one of us. And when we characterize IoT in just one word, that is nothing but your physical objects, controllers, sensors and actuators along with your internet services making your IoT. So with this characterization, there has to be some ethical issues which really needs to be resolved and needs to be taken care of here. Next is privacy in IoT. As we all know that when we talk about IoT, the very first is internet. So when we talk about internet, it is nothing but an open platform, or you can say a massive open public publishing platform. So anybody can have an access to this public platform because there is no security over the data. Everything is readily available. There are no, you can say, permissions on there are nothing like that with respect to your public platform. Anybody can have an access to any piece of code. They can make the changes, they can modify them, they can share it. So when we talk about public platform, nobody usually has any security, no privacy is there. So everybody assumes that whatever data is available, they have all the rights with that data. So when you have a top, you can say, application built over such public platform, always the question comes into your mind, that is your IoT device safe and secure? Because IoT on the other hand is making things more easier for us. So we are more, always connected to those devices, because something which ease our work, we are definitely going to look into that. But with that, there is important thing which really needs to be taken care of, that whether using that device is going to be safe or secure. But the answer to this is like privacy. If I talk about in IoT, it still needs to be addressed. It's still under the area of research and which really need to taken care of. Because so far we don't have our IoT devices which have privacy concerns into it, or we have an security implementation into your devices. So far we just have a physical devices which are sensing the information, which is taking the information, giving the information back to the environment, and there is storing of information and analysis being taking place. IoT privacy is still yet to be done on a very higher level, and we are looking forward that we'll have it in the coming years. Since we talk about public platform, everything is online, it is visible, anybody can have an access to it, they can make the changes to it, and whatever data which is available on such platform, it is always termed as public data. So nobody will never take any permission whether to use that data or not, because it is on an open platform over the public platform. Definitely people are going to use that data, no matter how that data is and from where it has been come from. So privacy in IoT is something which needs to be addressed, and it is still yet to be done. Because when we talk about data which is available on the online, everybody have an access to that data. People see that data, they use that data, they make changes of that data. So mostly when we talk about public data, it is always going to be in public in nature, and it will have no control, and anybody can have an access to it at any point of time. Like we have already taken an example previously, that we have different internet connected task timers. And when we talk about task timers, there can be anonymous devices can be connected to it. So to implement the privacy, to implement the security implementation in your internet connected task timer, that was a crocodilo which we have previously done. What have we done? We have started taking the MAC address and the user ID, and along with that we used to implement the security. So if your devices doesn't have security mechanism, with the help of your APIs, you can design your customized APIs, and you can add a task to it, and you can implement the privacy and security. Because something which we are using as an IoT devices, it is our responsibility that we have to look into the privacy concerns of it, because it is our information being shared. So we need to take care of the same. So in short, we can just say that with the sensors which are there into your CCTV cameras, over your temperature meters, there are many Bluetooth trackers which are installed in the public and private spaces, from different parks to shops, you can say. So data is something which is collected all the time. So when the data is subject here, we have to always understand that how that data is being protected, how that information is being used when the data is collected, whether it is shared to third party apps or it is just between the devices. So this is all important concerns with respect to privacy in IoT, and which really needs to be taken care of. No doubt there is a lot of transparency in the process, but this transparency should not be there when you talk about the private information or confidential information. Rest all the process can be private in nature, can be transparent in nature. But when we talk about confidential information like your ID and password, that needs to be secured and should be confidential in nature. Next we have is privacy control in IoT. So when we talk about privacy control in IoT, usually when we talk about APIs, usually companies goes for a public APIs, because those are the APIs which are readily available. They can make changes, they can modify them, and they can use it later on. So usually the companies and organization go for the public data sources rather than going for a private sources. Because in private APIs, you have to design from end to end. Like you have to do it everything on your own self. But if I talk about public APIs, which are already there available, people just have to simply download it, they have to modify it, and they have to do the changes. So in that, people always go for a public API. And mostly when they want to do the things faster, definitely they go for a public API. They will not go for a private API because private API will take a lot of time. So usually when you take any information from the public sources, or you can say IoT, your privacy control is something which is very much important, and this really need to be taken care of. So when we talk about privacy control in IoT, there are few measures which we can take, or we can implement from our end. Though your devices are not enabled with privacy control mechanism, but you yourself can have a one step ahead, and you can implement some privacy implementation into your devices, or something which you can do from your end. So most common ones which we really can go for is by authentication technique, which we can have your OTP, which is one of the most, you can say, powerful authentication technique. One time password, like after registration, there will be a unique OTP designed or generated, and accordingly user can have access. So this you can go for. You can have different access controls as well. Different users will get different rights, and with that different rights, they can have an access to the device. This can also happen. You can have a good antivirus protection, which will always keep checking for your firewalls. It is going to keep checking information which is coming in and going out. So you can have that as well. You can have encryption techniques, whatever passwords are which are going out of the network, whether it is encrypted properly or not, and it is not in the plain text, it is in the ciphertext, and it is something which is combination of alphabets, special characters, and numerics, so that anybody cannot understand when it's move out of the network. Next, we can have a real time protection, like we can have a application which will run all the time in real time. It will always keep tracking what information is being coming in, what is going out, and whether it contains any bugs or errors are there or not, and we can implement or remove that. So that can be happen. You can even use standardized mechanism like authentication techniques of different users. So these are some methods, you can say, which are commonly used, and if their devices are not having that, then you can do something from your end, and you can have a privacy control in this IoT device. Next, we have is crowdsourcing. So when we talk about crowdsourcing, we already know that crowdsourcing is something that refers to where people are sourcing their information, their skill, their talent, their knowledge, whatever they have, they are sourcing that information. So sourcing is nothing but they are sharing, and there will be not just one or two, there will be a group of people along or across the globe, and they are sharing their information. So basically, when we talk about the word crowdsourcing, it is come from two words, that is crowd and sourcing. So the crowd is nothing but refers to group of people, and sourcing is that refers to outsourcing of the information which is coming from this group of people. So mostly when we talk about ethical aspect here, like where the chapter says ethics. So here the ethical aspects are refers to that whenever you are using a crowdsourcing information, like Wikipedia is one of the most powerful example which comes or which is quoted when we talk about crowdsourcing, because the information which is available there is something which is very simple to understand, and which is something mostly used by us. Even when we start searching any piece of information, the very first website which we get is always Wikipedia. The reason is that because most of the people are using that website for getting any information, because that is some of the simplest and easiest source to understand the information which you are searching for. So the crowdsourcing here refers to, like with ethic aspects here refers to that whenever you are using any crowdsourcing information, start giving credits or reference to that source information. Mostly people do what? They search for the information, they get their information, and that is done there. If you're using that information, try to give the reference that from where you have taken that particular data, or you can say that particular knowledge. Because if you are referencing that information, it is something which you are adding an ethical, you can say, uh, ethical moral or principles into it. Because if you're using any private information, you have to always credit or refer that information. because if you are not referring that particular company or the one who has written that information can do case against you because you are using his information without his permission. So even that same has to be followed over the public platform. Let be you should be morally upright. We should you follow the ethics. So whenever you are using a crowdsourcing information, in that case also you should always make sure that you are giving credits to the information because this is something which will give the users also the knowledge which is being given to the users, like who are sharing the knowledge. It will give them a value added advantage to them, as well as you also having a good habit to do the same. So this is something which is always suggested when you are taking any image, you are writing any, you are taking any content from your web page. So you should always code, no matter whether it is a public platform, it is a private platform. You have to be ethically right from your end, and this can be done when you are giving references for each and everything which you are taking from the public platform. Okay, so that is your crowdsourcing here. Next, we have is environments in IoT. So when we talk about environments in IoT, it basically consists of objects. So those objects are nothing but your physical objects over which you will have your sensors, actuators embedded over it. Along with that, you are going to identify that objects with the help of the IP addresses, and that's together make your smart objects. So if you want to make your smart objects and into smart things, for that you need an internet service, that you need a Wi-Fi, you need an internet service protocols, that is IPv4 and IPv6, and together this all is going to make a smart thing. So for making smart things, you need physical objects, your sensors, your identity of your objects, that is with the help of IP addresses or maybe MAC addresses, depending on what is your choice for. Then that is your smart object, which smart objects when combined to your different devices, that is people, your actuators, sensors, your transport. So all the applications area are there. You have your variables. Along with that, we are connected with the internet with the protocols, that is IPv4 and IPv6. This together make your smart things. So internet service is very much important because this will help you to connect with your IoT devices. If you don't have internet, then you cannot have an IoT devices. Internet plays a very important role. That is why the first letter I in IoT refers to Internet of Things, because everything works or revolves around the internet. So all your things will need internet for the working, and with this working, they are going to communicate with information with each other, and the information can be shared. Next, we have is IoT as a part of solution. So when we talk about IoT as a part of solution, it refers to that how the IoT has made things easier for you, how it has given solutions to many problems. So when we talk about IoT as a part of solution, if your devices are enabled with sensors and actuators, the overheaded task of collecting the information has been already eliminated, because the sensors and actuators will do this task. Actuator will give out the information, and sensors are going to sense the information within the environment and give back to you. Because initially, the most of the time, when we talk about any activity, the most of the time which was required is by the collecting of your data, because data sources are private and public data sources. Again, there is a primary and secondary, so there are many types of data sources. So most of the time used to be spent by collecting the data. So with sensors and actuators with your IoT devices, this has really helped and made the things easy with respect to collecting your data. Once your data is being collected, it is stored into your field gateways, where the data will be divided into different fields or different categories, and those data can be stored into your cloud gateways, where there will be the cloud storage of the data. Data lake is nothing but all the information which has been stored into your clouds will given a specific name to that data. Lake refers to what there is a lot of data, and every lake is given a different name. So according to the name which is given, that same data will be stored into your data warehouse. So last diagram you can see that all orange color dots are one, all yellow dots have been together. So whatever data is there into your data lakes, that is going to be categorized on the basis of the particular data, and it is help you to make the decision making. So IoT has become a very much important as a part of solution, because with the sensors and actuators, it has become very easy to sense the information from the network and get that information done. Next, we have this topic, that is cautious optimism. So when we talk about cautious optimism in very simple words, it refers to that you will always, there is a feeling, or you can say a general confidence regarding the situation, that the outcome which is going to be there will have the possible difficulties, or maybe having a possible outcome. So depend on whatever it is going to be there. Whether it is the outcome which is you're getting will maybe failure outcome, or it can be a successful outcome. So this is usually a general confidence, like we are doing something and we always get a feeling in our mind, or we get a, you can say, intuition in other words. Okay, like whatever I'm doing will definitely going to generate me result or not. So that is called as cautious optimism. Cautious here refers to that something is always going on the mind and just giving telling you that this is the situation, this is the situation. And optimism is nothing but the outcome which you already know that this can be the outcome, that can be positive or that can be negative, depending on upon how the situation is all about. So this is something which is usually important, because if you're starting any business, you always have many questions in the mind. So when you have so many questions in your mind, you should always have a study. You have to have a study of whatever task you're going to do. Like you have to study your business, you have to study the market, and then after some point of time, something automatically will come into your mind. Because if you are thinking all the time about it, then definitely there is going to be there that something will be there into your mind, and that is called as cautious optimism. So cautious optimism is something which is very much important, and this has become very much easy for you to understand the outcome or the results. Like if you have prepared for the exam for the week, now you know that this, if since I have done the preparation well, so definitely the results are going to be well. So cautious optimism will always give you a feeling that what will be your outcome, and accordingly you will get the outcomes as well. So as the technology advancements are taking place, there is social responsibilities are increasing. There is so many dependent on the technology. Mostly our, when we talk about the decisions, we keep on changing. Like we get different you can say uh, questions in our mind, we get different outcomes. And because this is that technological enhancement, because we are always dependent on technology, and as we see something new and we come across something new, our decision quickly changes. Okay, so depending on the decision, you will always will have an outcome, and accordingly that can be termed as your cautious optimism. Last we have is open IoT. So when we talk about open IoT, that refers to your Internet of Things. So when we talk about open IoT, it is like IoT, when we talk about, is open in nature because it has a public platform. And when you have a public platform, in that case, all the things which you're going to refer will be of type open, because it is a public platform. So IoT is basically, it is a computing concept which we have already seen before, and it always describes the future, because you have your small physical objects, and those physical objects are enabled with sensors and actuators, and they are connected to the internet, and they are identifying themselves with the help of the internet protocols which are working over these devices. So when we talk about main goals of open IoT, the very first is accessibility of data. So as you know, it is open IoT. So all the information which is available on the public platform will be an open data feed. So anybody can have an access to that piece of code. Anybody can have an access to that APIs. They can freely use this because there is no restriction over it. There are no rights over it. So everything which is there available, all the information which is there, it is freely available. These are mostly open source implementation data, or you can say open source platforms, which has that allows you have an accessibility of the data. Next we have is preservation of privacy. When we talk about preservation of privacy, here refers to that all the data subjects, like we have already seen that in the previous slide, that whatever information is being stored into into your clouds, everything is revolving around the data. So the main important subject in IoT is data, because if you don't have your sensors and actuators which are running in real time and giving collecting the data, there is no existence of IoT. So data is something which is an important subject, and with this, the privacy becomes very much important. So privacy here refers to what? Whatever information is being collected, that needs to be secured, and if it is going out of the device, it is shared with third party apps, then in that case the devices should ask for the consent that whether this data which is collected has to be shared or not, because it is your data, it is your private information which is being sent. So that preservation of privacy has to be there. If any information is collected, you are equally, you have a right to know that what data is being collected. You have a right to know that if that data is being shared, with whom it is being shared, what are the different third party apps. So this is something which is very much important when we talk about preservation of privacy. More importantly, there has to be real time individual protection given to all the data which is being collected, so that if there are any uh, prone to hacking or something like that, that can be intimate to the user and they can delete their data if they want. So this is something which are some concerns which really need to take care of, and privacy is something which really needs to be addressed in your IoT devices. Last is transparency of the processes. As we all know, since it is an open IoT, so there is going to be a lot of transparency of the processes. The transparency is up to that level that the information which is being shared, the information which is being collected by these devices are also shared with different people. So there is a lot of transparency here. So it is always refer to as that when we are using a public platform, there is a lot of transparency, and they, according to the subject, the transparency also keeps on changing. But all the processes are something which is be seen by everyone, because there is no security over the data. Anybody can have an access to any piece of code. So this is something which is possible, and this is a lot of transparency is going to take place, because the data is collected from the public space. So there is no security over the data, and everything is very transparent, and data is just being shared to the next level, and so on. So this is something which really needs to be taken care of. So when we talk about open IoT, we just need to conclude that these three principles needs to be addressed. Accessibility of the data, since it is of type public, it has to make sure that there has to be of some security mechanism. The data which is being accessible needs to be collected from where the source it belongs to. Privacy information needs to be secured. There should be encryption algorithms that will protect your information, and they will always ask for your consent if any information goes out of the network or out of the device. And the last is transparency of the process. It is good to have a transparency of the processes, but when it comes to private information, the transparency needs to be not should be there. So there should be some sort of encryption. There should be some sort of mechanism that will protect the data, and it is not going to be transparent to the other devices. So with this, we have completed our chapter number 11. Hope you all have understood it. That's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.